First of all, thank you very much to everyone for joining today. As I said, my name is Michael Organ. I am the Vice President of Transformation and the Acting Head of Product here at ViewAR. And I'm going to try and give you a comprehensive overview of what an augmented reality installation can look like in a manufacturing facility today during this presentation. Before I jump into the presentation proper, I just want to point out that I made some last minute changes to the presentation yesterday evening as it can be very, very terminology heavy. So I'm going to try to move through this very swiftly, but I may not go into detail about absolutely everything. If you have a detailed question, please feel free to put it in the chat and we can address it during the Q&A section, or if there's a quick fire answer, I'll try to get it back to you during the presentation. But yes, that's my my small request to all of you. Keep the deep stuff for the Q&A because I have a lot I'd like to cover, but I also am afraid of speaking too quickly. But yes, with that out of the way, I think it's time to get started and we can jump into the presentation. So, before we start talking about everything augmented reality, who are ViewAR? We are a company based in Vienna, Austria, of about 27 team members and counting, and we have over 10 years of experience working on augmented reality projects. So the company is about 13 years old today, with the first 10 years of the company history being focused on augmented reality projects here in Austria and further afield. But in the last 3 years, we've switched focus and we're now concentrating on producing an off-the-shelf augmented reality product tailor-made for manufacturing. And this is what brought us to our leading product today, ServiceAR. So ServiceAR for us is our flagship augmented reality product. It provides an integrated experience that caters to multiple use cases from a single mobile app and a web app or desktop app admin interface, which are both included as standard for anyone who's considering ServiceAR for their workplace. What are the main use cases of ServiceAR, you may ask? The three main core capabilities are indoor navigation, so the ability to find your way around in 3D space in a factory setting, beyond just a floor plan, for example. So this is full 3D indoor navigation and localization. It's everything along your walls. It's everything anywhere in your facility. Every single asset can be localized and navigated to. And on top of that, you can actually do navigation within a particular work area. So if you're standing in front of a console, for example, we can mark this button in the top left and this button on the top right and differentiate between the two. So you can guide someone to either one of those buttons. So this is indoor navigation and localization, accurate to, yeah, less than 10 centimeters, mostly a lot more accurate than that in most cases, but depending on environmental factors also. This, in combination with our workflows, is really at the heart of the augmented reality experience that we're providing. So not only can you use our software to navigate an individual or a group to a particular part of your workspace and then to a particular facet of that workspace, you can then deploy content-rich workflows that will provide a visual layer of guidance for your technicians or staff as they work on their changeover, on their repair, on any other manual task that you have on your factory floor. Excuse me. And the final one is incident tagging. Incident tagging is probably going to be a new phrase for a lot of you, as it's something we've just started talking about a couple of months ago. But what incident tagging really is that once you have this augmented reality software in the hands of all your workers, we want to be able to enable all of them to utilize this software every single day, all around your factory, in relation to every single asset. So anytime you see an issue in your site, whether that be a light bulb doesn't work anymore, it could be a leaking pipe, You can place a localized marker. You can add notes and content to that marker, and then everyone in your organization can become aware of new issues as soon as they're reported. Those are the three key use cases. I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail about these later on in the presentation. But before we do that, I want to give you some insight into how an augmented reality project gets set up so that you can begin to imagine or, yeah, qualify your own factory site to see if this is something that would be appropriate for you. So we're going to come back to these three use cases, but before that, we want to talk about how to set up one of these projects. Setup for these projects is happens in three main steps. The first step, and this represents the largest initial cost for setting up an augmented reality project today, is to create a 3D scan of your production environment. So you can do this today with a small handheld 3D scanner. There are multiple names available. We tend to recommend Matterport, Navis, or Leica cameras. But you can use any LiDAR-powered mobile device, even an iPhone, for example, can be used to create a 3D scan these days. And that's really the basis for everything that comes after it. Once we have this 3D scan of your factory, we can essentially use this to make an augmented reality cloud of your environment that you can then fill with all kinds of information and content. So that's really part one, is creating this scan of your environment. In addition to scanning your environment, you then have to upload that to ServiceAR. So you upload it to our admin interface. And the typical first step we see for most users is that they begin to demarcate their points of interest. A point of interest is a simple geographical marker that pops up when you're walking around your factory. If you have your smartphone out and you're looking for augmented reality content, you point your camera into the corner, and if there's a POI in the corner, it will pop up and tell you what it's in relation to, typically some kind of asset within your factory. And then once you decide to interact with that POI, you may discover that it's also filled with notes, with documentation, with say a report on the last time it was inspected, any kind of content you would like. And this content that you place into your POIs is then also used to build your workflows later on. So it's a three-step process: scan your factory, upload it to our software, and mark the most important information for you, and then add the content related to those markers that's most valuable. We do offer API solutions so that if you have this data pre-existing from another system, you can upload it to ServiceAR in a couple of clicks, and you can actually skip the vast majority of this setup phase. But I think it's important for everyone to understand how we set these projects up. And I think if you spend some time with it, you may be able to understand from here whether or not this is the right kind of setup for you. We're going to take it that this is something that's the right fit for your factory and move on to talk a little bit about these three core use cases that I mentioned in the beginning. So indoor navigation, as I mentioned, it's pretty self-explanatory. I do want to make the distinction, however, that we're not simply taking your existing floor plan and uploading it to your mobile device, creating a kind of a hacked map of your indoor environment. We're really taking this 3D scan and using that as a basis to localize and navigate to every single asset in your environment. So it's not just about finding your way around a factory. And obviously, most of you probably know your way around a factory. We're not working on indoor navigation to support wayfinding to that extent. We do support it because, as you'll see, once it comes to workflows, it can be very, very helpful and intuitive to combine those two aspects of the software. So we're going to take a quick look now at what indoor navigation actually looks like with the ServiceAR system. We have a very short 30-second video. So let's see how it works. Okay, so our factory worker here, he's received a notification. He needs to move to another part of the plant. His device is localized, and he is now wayfinding his way through the factory, following this the lovely blue line that is going to guide him straight to his sprinkler room here. And that's the end of his journey. This is the very, very simple first step in how you can perform indoor navigation, um, and really, really cut down and reduce on a lot of the time spent trying to find, yeah, particular assets or particular parts of a factory, which is something we'll look into a little bit more later on when we address the client examples, which I'm also going to cover with you. So that is exactly how the indoor navigation looks and works. It's really that simple. You take your smartphone in your hand, you do a quick localization using the device camera, and from there you are being guided directly to your location. The next aspect that we want to take a look at is workflows. Workflows, there is a lot of different options that we offer today in relation to workflows. Um, Important to say that we're starting at step one and we're going as far as step 300 or even further. You can make very, very detailed workflows with our system. And with the idea being that you're also providing this visual layer of guidance so that when someone is performing the workflow, it is almost childproof uh, in terms of success rate. So we see a lot of our customers like to use this for performing maintenance changeovers, production changeovers, and they use this to ensure that every single step gets followed to the letter of the law as required so that those handovers are successful. We're going to take a quick look again now, and we have a workflow in action. So you can see our technician here, he's on his phone and his phone is guiding him through the steps of the workflow that he would like to perform. You can see his guidance marker on the side of the phone showing him that he needs to move left over to this pressure scale. So that's his indoor navigation guiding him once again. And now he is performing his check. And as you can see, he has a short checklist to perform in order to confirm that check. And now he's on to the next step of his workflow again. Here we go. He's just moving through. And here we are coming to the end of his workflow. So this is the vast majority of his workflow. He's performed 7 to 8 steps here and very, very quickly, very accurately, and he has complete guidance the entire way through. So his error rates are massively reduced. Great. So that's workflows. There is a lot to talk about with workflows. We have a very, very extensive collection of workflow tools available at the moment. We're going to see some more of them now in the next slide when we come to incident tagging. So you're going to see some more of the possibilities. Incident tagging, to speak quickly on this, we have a customer here in Austria who is performing incident tagging 24 hours a day around the clock over every single shift, every day of the year, um, with the goal and the aim being to reduce the amount of unplanned maintenance that happens during the year by, of course, reaching these topics up front, by reporting them quickly and accurately so the technicians can get to them as they need. Once again, we have a very quick video to show you. This is going to hopefully illustrate exactly what we're talking about when we say incident tagging. So here we have our engineer. He's walking down his pathway here and he's noticed a leaking pipe. So he's stopping immediately to tag this incident, which obviously localizes where the incident is within the 3D scan of the factory. And he is now able to add this extra information to contextualize it for whoever is arriving to deal with the issue itself. And here we see very quickly, let me pause here. What you're looking at right now is a VR panorama image from our admin interface. And this is something for your admin or whoever's leading that role in your organization. But from the desktop option, you are able to navigate within this panorama image. So you can tell exactly where this leaking pipe is remotely. And you can also use this then to inform others about where this leaking pipe is located, and so on. Oh, okay, we missed the end of the video, but it just continues as you saw before. I think the vast majority of the instant tagging was complete. So yeah, those are the three key use cases that we address with our software. Those can be combined in multiple ways. I think most of our customers are combining these use cases in different ways to solve the issues as they see fit. And that's part of the option we want to give our customers with this product, is that we give you the basic tools and you then have the ability, without having to write any code whatsoever, to integrate it into your existing systems and leverage it how you see fit. Integration of ServiceAR is pretty straightforward, I would say. We have two options, so you can integrate it via deep links. So ServiceAR generates its own deep links. Every single point of interest, every POI, as we saw earlier, has its own unique deep link, which can be taken and can, if you have ServiceAR installed on your mobile device, any other device on, or any other application on that device, sorry, is able to open that deep link, and the ServiceAR application will open, and they will be able to begin navigating in this case, or also doing the same with a workflow. So if I'm on site, an issue has arisen and it's been reported to someone else, but I'm the closest person to deal with it, I can be sent a message on any of my messaging channels. And if I have ServiceAR installed on my device, I can hit the deep link and I'm immediately given the navigation or the workflow or both to go and deal with that issue. Um, so this is, system independent, and our deep links can also work with ID elements from other systems. So you can integrate a deep link with SAP, for example, and if you have an SAP ID tag for an asset, you can use that SAP ID tag. You don't need to create a new one. You don't need to port it. You can simply affix it to the end of the deep link, and the ServiceAR system will understand exactly which asset you mean. That's really important to understand because it brings us to sort of the piece de resistance of all of our integration options, which is that we also offer the ability to create dynamic workflows, meaning that a workflow can be generated and shared to a member of staff depending on conditions set in other parts of your factory to do with other assets of your system. What exactly does that mean? The basic example I can share with you is that if you have 10 tanks on site and tank number 5 is empty and it needs to be manually refilled, if you have a sensor in that tank which is connected to SAP, for example, when that tank is emptied and SAP receives that notification, you can configure a launch config which will dynamically generate the workflow needed to refill that tank. And that will be shared to someone on site without anyone having to be involved as a middleman. So the workflows are dynamically created depending on whether it's tank number 6, it could be tank number 7, tank number 5, whichever one it is. Once your SAP system registers that tank is empty, you can create launch configs for every single tank so that when that happens, a workflow is automatically generated and shared to someone so that the refilling of the tank can begin. And this happens, via the native API, most likely. You can also do it with deep links. Both options are yours. But yes, integration wise, we have designed the system to integrate everywhere with everything as much as possible. Great. I think I'm doing well enough on time. So we're going to jump into our client examples. I want to tell you about two use cases that are currently in use today. So these are use cases that customers, these are live. The first one I want to talk about is taking place in a US pharmaceutical plant. This is a plant where they're focused on small batch production, which means that they very regularly have changeovers of their production lines and facility. Uh, the challenge they had, the challenge they did have, is that they have 9,000 valves that they need to change on an almost daily basis in order to maintain their production flow. Of these 9,000 valves, it's typically only a handful, so 20 to 40 of the valves that actually have to get changed when these handovers are taking place. That is a huge time killer for them. Uh, when we spoke to them, what we found is that when they have to approach this task, they spend 10% of the time their technicians are spending on actually doing the valve changeover. 90% of the time, they are searching through these 9,000 valves trying to find the correct ones. This can go from a couple of minutes, and in extreme cases, it has taken entire work days for them to find the correct valve and get things changed over. They've begun to use ServiceAR, our indoor navigation functionality in particular. And they're also using workflows to manage the changeover process at the valves. And the result of their work on this is that they've seen a 60% reduction in the amount of time that is spent on this task. Yeah, 50% reduction in any of your unproductive time or unplanned downtime. I'm sure anyone here from the world of manufacturing knows what that means for them themselves. Very, very powerful example, a really, really simple problem that until now didn't have a simple solution. But fortunately, with ServiceAR, we're seeing a massive improvement in how this can be performed. So this is a really, really great example of how you can use indoor navigation and workflows together to dramatically change the time involved in a routine task. The second client example, so this is a partner that we work with. And this partner is responsible for a lot of facility management. And one of the things that they struggle with is that the day-to-day running of the facilities that they manage, they quite often have outside service providers coming on site to work on things like air conditioning, cooling, uh, fluid management, repairs, anything that needs to be worked on by an outside individual. They quite often have issues. Obviously, they can get these technicians to the site, but making sure the technician finds where they need to go while they're on site, that is where we're supporting with indoor navigation. So it's all about the ease of use, ease of access, making sure that we get your technicians to the right areas to work on the right topics in the simplest way possible, which is right now today using their mobile device. Is there Oh, and they are also very, very active with incident tagging. So while the indoor navigation is maybe not useful to their typical day-to-day staff, it's obviously a big win for visitors. For people who are on site, they don't need to be shown around the place. This is a recurrent piece of feedback we get from lots of people we talk to when we introduce the topic of indoor navigation. People saying, well, if my staff don't know how to find their way around, uh, we just train them or they need to learn. Uh, we agree. We see that. We obviously realize that just showing people around a place is not going to create very much value in the manufacturing world. The thing that we see though is that when it comes to incident tagging and providing people with the ability to place markers almost anywhere on an asset in a 3D environment, particular production environment, um, this is a really, really big time saver. And this is also a really, really great way to avoid unplanned downtimes up front by getting to issues at source. Yes, so we're coming very close to the end. I want to wrap up very quickly. I think I did my best to avoid too much of the terminology for you, so I hope that's okay. But to sum up, what are the actual real world challenges we're addressing with Service AR? As I just said, reducing cost of downtime, whether planned or unplanned. We really see the benefit of our product when we focus on supporting those use cases. So, cutting down all of this unnecessary time that is spent on simply wayfinding or identifying assets that need to be interacted with. Service AR today can help you with this, and it can do it in, yeah, to a very, very accurate level. A second topic that we're trying our best to support our customers on is helping them to retain valuable worker know-how. Many of you may be aware there is a very large demographic shift in North America in particular, but globally also, in that a lot of our experienced, highly trained factory workers who have maybe been 30, 35 years on the job are soon about to retire. And when they retire, they're going to take a lot of their existing know-how with them. The younger generations who are coming in to replace these experienced, knowledgeable workers, uh, there is obviously a job to do with ensuring that there is some kind of transfer of knowledge, but we think that the younger generation of connected workers are probably going to have to rely on technology to make up for the lack of experience and know-how that they have when that goes out the door with their retiring colleagues. So this is something that we are trying our best to do to ensure that Service AR can be a system where information can be shared rapidly and accurately. And the final challenge that we're really, really focused on supporting our customers with is supporting them with their regulatory compliance. So by following our workflows, you can create a step-by-step overview of how particular tasks get performed. And then that workflow result can be shared via an API into your leading system. So you can essentially create a record of all workflows performed from Service AR in your own database. And the feedback we're having from customers is that this is very, very beneficial in terms of ensuring their regulatory compliance in all kinds of manners. That's a lot of what we have to get through. What comes next for augmented reality? What are we working on for the rest of 2025? One thing we definitely want to do is expand our language support beyond English so that we can support users and customers all around the world, and also to create a product that will really scale with your environments. We want to spend some time working on improving scan import and management. If you're working with one scan, it's super, super simple. You just import it and everything can be set up and run very, very quickly. If you have a very, very large facility and we may need to split that up into multiple scans, importing and managing those scans becomes a little bit more complex, obviously, from that point forward. We want to be able to support the largest installations possible. So we're investing time into ensuring that that scan import and setup and management process gets incredibly simplified. Um, yeah, that's something that will be ongoing, I would imagine, a topic of research and development in many ways over the next couple of years. Enabling a more granular control for workflows. We have people today who are approaching very, very complex workflows with Service AR. One of the core areas of feedback that we receive is that there are all kinds of requests to add new functionalities to workflows. So enabling workers to skip forward through a workflow, um, enabling different starting points for workflows. There's a whole world of improvements that can be made for workflows, and we're working on these on a daily basis. Just as we are with the next point, the workflow pause and handover features to support shift changes. Not only do we have customers working on workflows that involve hundreds of steps, they do this over their entire workday across 3 shifts. So we want to make sure that that handover can be done successfully and those workflows can be carried out every single day. Um, yeah, without the need for going back to step one of a workflow every single time. And then on top of this, if you've been following along with ViewAR, you will have seen that we have recently introduced options to print PDF documentation of the workflows you've performed on device. And we want to expand further into this area too to give users even more options again. Good. So we've actually come to the very last slide and then we'll begin the Q&A. Very shortly, why ViewAR? Why ServiceAR? This is an off-the-shelf product. You can use it without doing any coding at all. It integrates very, very easily, and it's typically hosted in either a shared cloud option from ourselves or you can set up a dedicated server instance. So we're really trying our best to make this a product that fits to your environments and your organizations um, in an independent manner. Okay, that's the end of the presentation. I think I've hit just on the money at about 30 minutes. So I think we're quite happy now to jump into a Q&A. I did see someone raise their hand a second ago. I will do my very best with all of the Q&As. Let's see how we go. Okay. I have one question here. Are there any environmental limitations to be aware of? Not sure if I covered this in the beginning. This only works indoors at the moment. Very, very important distinction to make. We are purely tackling, as of today, indoor environments only. Outdoor, it's possible, but it's something that we're exploring. It's something that we need to spend more R&D time on. Um, it's something for the future, I would say. Right now, today, we are purely focused on indoor environments and production facilities at that. Within the realm of production facilities, there are almost no environmental limitations. There are a couple of small caveats to be aware of. One thing, for example, is that if you have highly reflective surfaces in your production environment, that will be difficult to 3D scan. So that is one thing I would share. But for all other eventualities, I would say get in touch with us here at ViewAR and we can discuss. We have this vast experience with augmented reality. So we have spent 13 years being involved in this business. We have basically seen it all. So if there is a way to set up augmented reality in your facility, we will find it. And it may be a case of a hybrid approach using beacons also. But yeah, that's something we need to discuss because every site is different. Every site has different requirements. So yes, my short answer to that is that doesn't work outdoors. Other than that, it should be fine. If you're unsure, if you have something really, really special in your production environment, get in touch and we'll be able to support you with some baseline consultation to see if we can make that happen. Good. Next question. Do you support smart glasses or any other AR wear? We do not today at the moment officially support any smart glasses or AR wear. We have had a look at experimental support in the past, but most of the feedback that we received is that people are actually a lot happier using a mobile device right now than using a pair of smart glasses as they exist at the moment to do their AR activities. A lot of modern smart glasses can be, they can be incredibly bulky. Some of them are actually just not safe for production environments. So we are fully focused on mobile and creating an experience for your mobile device. Uh, However, watch this space. I think in time, as smart glasses and AR wear improves, we will definitely be looking into supporting smart glasses in particular. Okay, I have one more question in the chat. If there are no more questions after this, we may wrap up soon. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to fire them into the chat right now. Um, Last question, do all ServiceAR users have access to the same maps and data? No. So with the user permissions that are available today, you can limit, excuse me, you can limit access to maps on a map by map basis for groups or even at a user level. You can also restrict access to workflows. So you do not have to share all information across all devices to all users. You can use our group and role management to set up a bespoke user management particular to your environment so that only the users that you want to receive particular maps, to receive particular data, receive that particular data. Good, okay. We have no further questions at the moment. So that would actually be it for the webinar today. I would like to thank you all again today for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at ViewAR directly after this. Um, you can email me at mor@viewar.com or any members of the team. But that's actually it for today. So thank you very much for joining. And we'll see you the next time, hopefully, which could be in a couple of months.